Welcome to another SSJ review. This time we're looking at the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Voyager class Shockwave. Now this is a figure that has been highly anticipated as long as the character's been introduced in episode Out of Past in Season 2, just from a few glimpses of him. A very short glimpse of him, I mean. And the toy does not disappoint at all. We actually just saw our first glimpses of him just 2 months ago, as it seems, and this is a very nice representation of his appearance in the show. He is in an H-style tank, very similar to the animated Shockwave, just a little bit more of a Cybertronian look, and with the beast armors attached to it, it gives him kind of a weird, maybe like a crab or some sort of like mole look to it, with the claws close to the ground and kind of like a alien face on the front. Really neat looking. Now, as opposed to the smokescreen armor, which is kind of very neither here nor there, I actually do kind of like the look of the armors on the Shockwave, but it's alright, I can deal without them either way. I also really do like the cannon on top. It is actually kind of reminiscent of Shockwave's head itself, with the red bulb in the front looking like an eye, and the antenna in the back kind of representing Shockwave's antennas also. Yeah, I do find the treads roll very well, although I do find the treads on the front are kind of loose at the hinge where the leg hinges. Other than that, everything's pretty solid. Like I said, these armor pieces do come off, and they're very soft rubber, though not as soft as smoke screens, but especially this piece here is definitely a little bit more firm than the other ones. And here's Shockwave in his regular tank mode, and without the armor you can definitely see that this was more or less a figure that was meant for the Prid line, but they just kind of just added the armor bits just to make it fit into the Beast Hunters line. As was Smokescreen, although no official word of that has been really announced, but there's a lot of strong points to that. And I do prefer this look because the red purple pieces just really do kind of stick out like a sore thumb when you really look at them. You can see this is a more natural look to it, and the wheels on the front are formed under the feet, and they roll actually fairly well, and even the treads in the back roll in conjunction with them really well too. Even the one piece, one tread with the actual rubber tread on the one side does tend to drag a little bit more, so you do get a little bit more friction on that wheel, but it still rolls quite nice. And on top of this cannon, you see how it's kind of loose here. You get a little bit of a spinning gimmick, which is pretty neat. You can see that the spinning actually separates these two pieces. You can see the little red missile looking thing in the middle, and for the most part it will stay in pretty well, but I find myself having to position this thing around most of the time. That's about you, although you can see his head and back. Some people complain about you being able to see the arm and back, and how it just kind of creates an asymmetrical look, and I don't mind. It pulls it off fairly well to me, and you can see his other arm on the bottom there. Really decent looking vehicle mode. The transformation to robot mode is actually fairly simple. First, I'm just going to zoom out actually a little bit. Detach the cannon here, bring out to the front, and go ahead and detach the other arm, which is on the bottom. Position like this, and bring these pieces, swing them up front, this one. There we go. Detach the front little bumper and bring it up to form the chest. Swing the upper thighs around like so. Bring the knees around like that. Slide the feet up. Really neat little part there. And bring the foot up like that. Go ahead and bring the arm down like so. Fold these little pieces in. Collapse them in. Fold that piece down. And rotate the head around. You got the central robot mode done. But to complete the look, what you can do, bring that piece up, detach the tread from inside the wheel here, bring it out, and attach it to the back of his gun. And his little peg, it's a little bit, I'm not sure about how stiff it is on everyone else's, but actually getting it in there is not too simple for me. In fact, that's about the best I'm going to get from right now. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but you get the general idea. And there you have Shockwave in robot mode. Shockwave is everything I was hoping for in robot mode. This is the look that I had envisioned for Shockwave when we first realized that he was going to be in the Dark of the Moon movie, and they went to obviously a very different look, and they brought a more G1 version for Prime. And this is one of my favorite Voyagers in all of the Prime line, along with First Edition Optimus Prime and the Dreadwing Skyquake mold, because this is a very top-notch, very imposing, very cool looking robot mode with just the coolest little touches. The hose is a phenomenal touch. I like, that's one of my favorite parts with the Dark of the Moon Shockwave, is the rubber hose that attached to his gun, and this one brings his own version of that. The gun is very, very cool looking, very imposing, although with him being a scientist it does kind of make it hard for typing with one hand. The eye is has a very good amount of detail in it. Nice light piping too, although I obviously would have preferred it to have been painted red. No Decepticon symbol on the chest though, although you can almost looks like there's a spot that was meant for it. And overall detail is very, very, very nice. Although the only change I would have done is looks like this, as opposed to the way he looks in the show, is that the spikes from the back of his gun actually go on the back, kind of sticking out, with kind of like a parallel with the spikes on his head. And you can kind of do that with these spikes here. You want to go for something like that, but you don't really see them all too well unless you're from a certain angle. It's very, very nitpicky, but that was one of my favorite parts about him in the show, is that these particular spikes were kind of coming out from his back like that. But that's just, other than that, damn near perfect. As far as posability goes, his head is not on a ball joint. It's because it's so long and very wide, it's just on a swivel, which is perfectly fine. It still looks great from just about every angle. his arms can go in and out, and these shoulder pads on their spring, which allows for great movement, but so you don't have to like move the shoulder pad and then move it back down. But this one, I guess the sides are a little bit tighter on mine, so the spring doesn't quite catch all the time. But this side works flawlessly. Has a bicep swivel with a 90-degree bend in the elbow, and the hand is technically on a ball joint, but I would only recommend doing this kind of movement, because that damn ball joint feels like it's so tight that it would definitely break off the wrist. And over here he does have a bicep swivel too, and very limited elbow movement, but I can forgive that because of the nature of his arm. And I don't really find that the rubber hose pushes his arm out in any directions. There's enough flex and give there that you can pretty much put him in any pose. Like, I mean, there he pointed straight forward, and the hose is not hindering it at all. I really like the look of the hose. No waist. He does have a fairly heavy ratcheting joint in the hips, and goes in and out. Really clicky knees, and technically he does have some foot articulation, but when you move it, he'll have wheels on the bottom of his feet, so he's not really capable of too many spectacular gymnastic style poses, but he can still get really cool, intimidating looks. As far as accessory goes, you can obviously still attach the beast armor to his chest and to his shoulder pads, which creates a very interesting look, I should say. This one fell out, which yeah, got that. I mean, I can't knock on it because you don't even have to use these at all, but I'm just really glad these parts are detachable. But I mean, it's not an awful look, but still very glad those come off. And again, you can use this spinny arm gun. Damn, that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Yep, that's about it for the accessories. Beast Hunter's Shockwave is one hell of a toy. I definitely recommend picking this figure up wholeheartedly. At this point, if you were to only pick up one figure from the Beast Hunters line, I'll definitely recommend picking up this guy first, and then putting some of the others to the side, because this is an all-round great figure. Damn near perfect, if only just had little quirks fixed about it. Some of the detailing as far as just accuracy to show, which I'm very nitpicky on. Articulation could have been just a tad bit better, but overall, a super solid figure, appropriate for G1 fans, Shockwave fans, and Transformer Prime fans, because this is a must-have for any type of Transformer collector. Until next time, thank you for watching.